fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's over the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top here.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
That last night. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round 3 of the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Last night in the TCRs, we went to the Daytona Road Course. Tonight, we head to the Charlotte Roval, and this is surely going to be a completely different race. Not only are the cars different, but this racetrack is incredibly tight, twisty, and a technical couple of very nasty chicanes to navigate as well. As always, you'll see it all live right here on Simspeed TV. My name is Ryan Jones. Alongside me, as always, David Haynes and Jake Kennedy behind the scenes. Tell us about this track, David.
Well, it's definitely very popular in the world of oval racing, a unique addition to the NASCAR calendar, but it does make for a decent bit of road course racing as well, and I hear IMSA is coming here, but what it does have is quite a different character to Pocono, Watkins Glen, and other places we've been. I think the corners come at you a lot thicker and faster. The barriers are a lot closer. And while it does have that oval characteristic of high speed, there's a lot of chicanes, as you mentioned, some very, very rough curbs. And of course, the wall is an ever-present risk through the infield and on the banking.
Yeah, it definitely is. And with these cars where contact is more often than not resulting in obviously contact, but you come together. Open wheel cars often will fall apart on you, and this place does not have much room for error. If you do make a mistake, runoff almost doesn't exist around this track. Let's take a look at our starting grid for race 1. John Schultz is on pole position. Christopher Williams starts alongside him. Cameron Dance and Robert Cook on row 2 ahead of Russell Clark and Angus Cook. Sean Doyle and Matt Marsh 7th and 8th. Matthew Mites, Dean Williams 9th and 10th.
In 11th place, Braden Martin, Matty Jones alongside him, Julian Mookie in 13th, behind his new teammate Braden Martin there. Dennis Hancock 14th, Nathan Verney is in 15th, Kevin Henderson alongside him, then it's Cade Donnelly in 17th, Peter Wilkinson in 18th, and Aaron Dillon 19th, Ira Felberg starting out of 20th.
Vigbet Velson will start 21st. All these guys have got to start before the final chicane as well, just to add a bit of trouble to the mix there. Russell Marsh in 22nd, Leon Williams and Jeremy Bush on row 12, Philip Howe, Isaac Summers and Connor Brown with the last 3 to set times, the rest set by provisionals. Alex McCullough for 28th, Gary Wellman, Braden Mackay, David Summers, Justin Howe, and Jack Patterson. Your 33-car field, need I say it, it's 23 degrees Celsius track temp out there, and it is 20 past 8 in the evening, so the sun is slowly setting, and I reckon for race 2, we might be under the hold of the lights here at Charlotte. Tubbs Heartburn turn, that's what they call turn number 1, and it certainly has burnt out a lot of drivers. There's an interesting grid position on that grid. The last car before the chicane, you see that, David? He's almost in the shortcut between the chicane and the straight.
Yeah, I mean, a standing start here for both of our races, and through the chicane there, those drivers behind about, 12th, 15th place are going to have to be careful when we go green in a second.
They certainly are. Remember, these cars get away very slowly, but they're going to quickly find themselves under pressure back there on the chicane. The leaders, though, it's much more straightforward. Mash the pedal and get yourselves underway. Green flag is out from Charlotte. Someone stalled it at the chicane. Everyone's going to get around him, just about, as now we fire down at a heartburn turn. It's all clean for the top 5, the top 10. What about the rest of the field? It's a concrete canyon through turn 2, and now into the double right-hander.
Yeah, exactly. Under lights here in the infield, and pretty clean start everywhere in our top 15 or so, but you did see the pack really get bottled up by someone bogging down off the grid. So inside your lead, John Schultz still has it, but Cameron Dance has jumped from third into second. Of course, our winner last time in the pit stop race.
Very tight. As you switch onto the oval, you've got to get the power down as early as you can, so you really back up that corner and then power up and into the banking. Now you've got to sort yourselves out. There's a move being made there as Russell Clark is losing out. And Cameron Dance is having a look at our race leader, John Schultz, into the chicane on the back straight. He's going to take it away. Schultz did not want to go side by side into what has been remodeled into a very sharp chicane. It used to be almost flat out, and it was disastrously bad. And now it is much more difficult, I would say.
Yeah, it used to be just one line through there. Now it's a generous 1.5 lines through there. John Schultz backed out of that one, I think, because he does not want to throw this away on lap 1, and he knows he'll get an opportunity to try and wrestle that lead back in this 10-lap race.
Oh, there's contact. Was that yeah, that's a crash. Dean Williams has found himself with a rear wing slightly ajar from how it should sit. That might require a trip to pit lane. That might be some troubling loss of downforce in the rear end. Just hit from behind in the braking zone. Just very easy to do. It's quite an awkward braking zone into that last chicane.
Yeah, it certainly is. You come off the banking, still turning as you're braking and trying to set up for the perfect line, bouncing across the curbs. Here's Matty Jones. He's come in a little bit hot. Bit of a contact there is all you need to send the other driver around. It's difficult under brakes with these cars.
Alex McKellar had an issue as well. You see, he's timed in first. That's because he's had to take the tow back to pit lane. He found himself facing the wrong way and in the fence when I picked him up. How did he end up in that position? Through turn 1. Oh, that's just a case of already a car spinning, and there's not enough room to be effectively 3 wide there.
Yes, we've got 3 cars breaking away for the lead right now, and then the great battle packs that we've come to expect from this series. 5th through to 9th is absolutely line astern as well. But it's not quite what we saw at Watkins Glen. This track, it's tight infield, it's difficult chicanes, it's really spreading out the field a little bit more than we had at Pocono or Watkins Glen. Here's a move.
That's Angus Cook looking up the inside of Sean Doyle. It quickly became the outside, though. And that gives the impetus to Russell Clark to side up the inside of him. And he puts himself up into 7th place as a result. So quickly on the front foot and back onto the back foot for Angus Cook there. Matt Marsh right in behind Robert Cook. He's sort of holding these guys up a little bit at the moment. And Matt Marsh, I tell you what, got a fantastic run out of that right-hander, but he's got nowhere to go at the moment as we're on board with Matty Jones a little bit further back in the field. No damage, notably on his car after that little bit of contact with Dean Williams.
Yeah, Nose is looking just fine there as he takes a much better line coming up the hill. Easy to get some understeer there as you come across the crest. And it's very blind. A lot of these corners through the infield with the tall barriers. To get the right line is critical. Matty Jones has done it better than Mookie.
The leaders are side by side. John Schultz just showed his nose on the slightly higher line all the way through oval 1 and 2. And he didn't quite have an overlap, but Cameron Dance was a little bit apprehensive about him being there and just lifted off to let him go. As we take a look at another modem simulation replay, more dramas through turn 2. That car did not turn at all. Hard into the fence, and there is no cushioning with that impact. That's straight up concrete.
That was a Code Brown moment. I want to suggest that was a technical failure of some kind. You saw the steering snap, and then the understeer sent him wide into the barrier. So that's basically going to take Connor Brown out of this race. But still in this race is John Schultz back to the lead, Cameron Dance in second, and Christopher Williams, the dark horse here in third, is coming along with them, but not battling quite so hard, so he's in a good position.
He certainly is. Lap 4 of 10. Oh, that's a little bit messy as we pick it up. Julian Mookie at the head of that train. Sean Doyle in there as well. He sits in 13th place. Another replay coming up for you. And Sean Doyle, how about that slide? And wasn't able to gather it up.
And here's a replay.
In that group.
further back. Yes, Matty Jones and Mookie were battling, and they go and grab a spot away from Sean Doyle there, who just lost the rear on the way in and just could not gather it up, had to stand on the brake pedal and lock them all up. This is Dance going back for the lead, though. Schultz and Dance swapping the lead a couple times and dodging someone on their lid there.
Gary Wellman, that is a precarious position.
Interesting breakdancing moves as well, you're seeing. And he's still there in the middle of the chicane, unable to get on the tow hook. Some other cars have become involved as well, and the car just wouldn't stop bouncing. They couldn't recover it, and that is a difficult place where everyone is streaming through.
Green and gold on that livery. Unfortunately, not bringing him much luck with that incident, as, oh, he had nowhere to go. Who was that was stranded? That was Leon Williams. And Wellman, how did he end up on his lid? That's my question.
Magical magnetic barrier
surfing the
there.
barrier. Yeah. All right, back to live pictures. Cameron Dance has opened up a little bit of a margin now. He's free of the tow, the slipstream that he'd be giving to Schultz and Williams. 1.1 seconds the gap halfway through this race. And I wonder if that last tour through that chicane was the catalyst for that gap opening up just a little bit. Now, does Williams have a look at Schultz now that he's got no one pulling him along? Yes, he does. To the inside, Schultz will lift off. Going side by side through this corner is just too risky. And Williams will take that spot away. He'll try to chase down Cameron Dance, but going to be a tall order, especially with John Schultz hanging on to him here.
Yeah, through all of that, Dance has almost got a second and a half in the lead now, and this is a track it's far easier to break away at than rounds 1 and 2 of this season.
Incident for Dennis Hancock through the chicane and Nathan Verney. Hancock was momentarily stranded up on the, as they call it, turtle curb, but he gets it going. I also picked up that Robert Cook had fallen from 5th to 6th on that last lap. Make that 7th, so he made a mistake as well. This is a replay with Hancock.
He just has to slow it up for the car in front, and then that sends him a bit sideways and sees him get collected by Nathan Verney. And it was just that the train all compressing together on the way into that chicane. They were just too close together. Verney doing his best impression of Lewis Hamilton, yeah.
Switch the tyres around to the front, and he's got it spot on, I reckon. There's Robert Cook after falling to 7th on that lap. Not quite sure why. He sits behind Russell Clark and about 5 seconds behind Angus Cook, so he dropped a lot of time. Whatever happened to him, he might be able to get by him here as ahead of him, Schultz and Williams switch around, and Robert Cook will pull off exactly the same maneuver on Russell Clark. Good that they're using their head and not trying to race each other to the chicane, because we know, David, it's not the best option.
I mean, you see, even on their own, the drivers go in there and they track it all the way out to the wall on the exit. So too wide is a recipe for losing one of your wheels through there. There's better and smarter places to keep your elbows out. You can only lose your race in that back straight chicane, I would say.
Crucially, Schultz, with that toe, was able to slingshot by Williams. He wasn't held up enough to cost him around the rest of the lap, and he put the fastest lap of the race down there. And he had, for a little bit, got the gap down to a second. It's gone back out to 1.5 seconds now. So there's still fight left in this one up at the top. He was half a second quicker than Dance, for reference, last time by.
Yeah, quickly running out of laps, though. This is our 10-lap race. We've got race 2 coming up. That's a bit longer later on with a bit more strategy. So there's not a whole lot of time left in this one. It's a short, sharp little sprint race.
That's how we like it. Part of the allure of the Ozicar Series is the short, sharp action with the sprint race, and then our approximately 25-minute feature race, which features that mandatory pit stop as well to throw some strategy into the mix. As ever closing was Russell Clark, really throwing it over the curb. Kudos to the suspension work that these Skip Barbers are throwing up there, hanging on pretty well.
Bit of contact not far behind them as well in the chicane. But here, Russell Clark, he's sniffing around an opportunity, putting the pressure on, trying to find out where he can overtake, and also taking some slightly different lines across the banking, but he's no stranger to those curbs.
Fastest car at the top through is Christopher Williams that lap. Schultz is only a 10th quicker than Dance, who has been on some hot form as of late. Another replay coming at you, thanks to Modem Simulation. Julian Mookie, that's surely contact with the fence. That was an aggressive look to the inside. Was that the offending party? Well, that's just a cast 2-1, doesn't go. That's a prime example of what we were talking about, and he did find the fence, and he did lose a tyre.
Yeah, a bit of his rear wing as well. Mookie and Jones trying to fight for that position through the chicane, and I'd say both of them kind of losing out a little bit there. Some more than others.
Tell you what, Schultz and Williams are almost back into range of Cameron's slipstream. That might have been a little bit too aggressive from Schultz over the curbs. He was all 4 tyres off the ground for a moment there, and that cost him a couple of tenths, some crucial tenths of a second. Williams had the run, opted not to pass him. Let's see if he goes for it down here at the last chicane. No, he doesn't. Williams is just biding his time as they throw it through the final chicane. Schultz, another mistake, and Williams has to jam on the brake pedal to avoid rear-ending him. And now they are losing all the time and surely all of the possibility of getting to our race leader, gap out to 2 seconds.
Schultz is just throwing it too hard into these two-part chicanes. He's got great speed at the first apex, but then it's an absolute wash for the second apex and the exit. And that's where he's losing all the time, just not setting up the average speed through the corner and the exit. And Williams is, giving him time and space to gather it up and take the sensible racing lines, and he's just not able to do it in this sort of last-ditch, desperate attempt to try and catch the lead. They're now as far away as they've ever been.
The lights are much more prominent on this circuit as well. I just saw a laps car pop up onto the racetrack in front of Cameron Dance, and I held my breath for a moment. Leon Williams, who these two will come up to in a moment as well. So in the 15 minutes as we started this race, it has gotten much darker in the sim. Leon Williams just about gets out of the way before the chicane. Matthew Mikes quickly being engulfed by the top 3 as well. Coming to the white flag this time presented by Virtual Motorsport Mentor and Simfinity.
The big packs have dispersed into just a couple of 2-car, maybe 3-car battles out there, the best of which is Schultz and Williams. We've also got Cook and Clark battling it out here.
Williams got the run. Williams got the run out of the chicane, and in Tubbs Hurtburn turn, he gets it done. So Williams, after stalking them all race long, finally pulls the trigger on second. Can he keep it this time? He made the move earlier on in the race, down the back straight. He might be under pressure. Calm that part on the circuit on this final lap here, because John Schultz not letting him get away. They're over 4 seconds away from Dance now. He has turned up that wick over the last couple of laps. That of Schultz has really fallen away. And Matt Marsh, where's he come from? So very quickly appear on the back of this battle for second.
Great run onto the banking for him as well. Super important to carry that speed through ovals turn 1 and 2. And he puts himself absolutely in contention for second here. How is Christopher Williams going to defend this one? He's not.
He might try to hold it around the outside. Side by side into the chicane. First time we're going to see it. Will it work out? Oh, he tried to keep the nose up there. Didn't quite happen for him. And John Schultz takes it back away. He gets the momentum out of the corner as well because Williams was over the curb. And he's under pressure from Matt Marsh. So John Schultz might have this one. These guys are going to do battle right down to the final braking zone. Schultz just moves it over a little bit to cover off. Cameron Dance wins the race. Look in the background as Matt Marsh and Williams side by side. Matt Marsh will take the final step on the podium on the final lap.
Behind there, Cook and Clark are battling for it, and they've come together in the final chicane. They're both in the wall. Are they going to lose out a spot? No, they are going to hold on to those positions. But those guys have battled for everything, and they come together attached at the start-finish line.
They came across the line as one. The gap between them was, well, apparently it was 0.2 of a second. It didn't look like 0.2 of a second. Rest of the drivers coming to the stripe. That's pretty much all of them.
Two have just come together, though.
Reasonably high, yeah.
And Peter Wilkinson, I think, was some of our last cars on the lead lap, and they're together on the back straight there. Ooh. Again, we've seen this before. These cars can get attached together. They've freed themselves, and those are basically our last cars that need to get to the checkered flag.
Is this going to be like a comedy of errors trying to get to the line from those two? Who's got the least destroyed car? Are they on the same lap?
Yep, there's a battle for position.
I think he's got it covered. We'll go to our results then. That's that gap ain't right. There you go. 2.2 seconds. Yeah, Philip Howell take this one. From Peter Wilkinson, he would assume, let's go through our 4 results by the time we get to them on the sheet, so it'll be resolved. Top 5, Cameron Dance winning by 3.8 seconds from John Schultz. Matt Marsh in 3rd. Christopher Williams falls to 4th after being 2nd for a moment on the final lap. Angus Cook comes home in 5th in a land of his own. 7 seconds clear of Robert Cook in 6th. Russell Clark, Braden Martin, Matty Jones, and Sean Doyle, make up your top 10.
In 11th place, starting from 17th on the grid, is Cade Donnelly. Dean Williams is in 12th. 13th, Russell Marsh. 14th, Dennis Hancock. 15th, Vic Bent Veltson, also picking up a handful of positions. Ira Felberg in 16th. No one picked up more positions, though, than Jack Patterson in 17th, who started from right at the back. Then Isaac Summers in 18th. Philip Howe in 19th. And David Summers in 20th.
Peter Wilkinson finishes in 21st. Looks like David Summers got between Philip Howe and Peter Wilkinson on that last lap of the race there, between oval turn 4 on the start-finish line. Braden Mackay, 22nd, first car lap down. Then Matthew March, Justin Howe, Julian Muki, Leon Williams, Kevin Henderson, Jeremy Bush, Aaron Dillon, Connor Brown, Gary Wellman, Alex McKellar. 33rd, our last car at the end of that race. Stay with us. Ready for race 2 and qualifying for it. Right on the other side of this, we're going to go for a break. Stay tuned.
North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this 0.625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into 2nd position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison.
Georgia, Bill Elliott, straining car number 9 to bring it home. 10-car length, Bill Elliott, 2-time winner of the Great American Race.
Now the out of fuel Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt is going to win the Trans-South 500, his 2nd win of 1987.
It's going to be a battle for 2nd. Bill Elliott is
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top now.
Oh my God.
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get involved.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God! God, what?
Welcome back to Simspeed TV, to the Charlotte Roval, to our coverage of the Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series. We just wrapped up race 1 of the night, getting ready for qualifying and race number 2. Before we do, let's take a look at how our championship looked coming out of round 2 last week at Watkins Glen. Bear in mind, this won't reflect the performances of race 1. There we go. Russell Clark leads by 8 points over Robert Cook. Angus Cook sitting 3rd, Williams 4th, Tony Clark 5th. And this is interesting, Dave, that Cameron Dance is only 6th, despite winning the last 2 races of the season.
I mean, we've talked about this a couple times, haven't we? That the point structure really favors finishing consistently. If you finish in the top 5 every race, you'll probably be in a better position than winning race 1, crashing out of race 2, then repeating that week after week. There's not a whole lot of extra points to be gained from winning ahead of finishing in the top 5. But there's a lot of points to lose from a DNF, and hopefully that encourages our drivers to race cleanly. Wasn't always the case at this circuit, but certainly the incentive is there to just make sure you finish inside of the top 10, inside of the top 5 every race. And then look at how close that is, 5th, 6th, 7th. 1 point to separate 3 drivers on the cusp of our top 5.
Yeah, Matt Marsh, Matthew Mites, Matty Jones, Nathan Vernon, the rest of the top 10 there on the points. They're all pretty close together. And they'll no doubt be shaken up after we finish off race 2. I can already see a few people that might have changed positions after the results of race 1. This track naturally is a bit of a car killer. It's quite flowing, I would say. You can keep the speed up quite a bit, and that's crucial to the lap times. It's incredibly dark as well through the infield section. The track lighting in iRacing at Charlotte Roval appears to be purely just the oval lights, and I could swear that there's infield lighting at Charlotte.
I think there should be, but it does appear like we're kind of missing it. Thankfully, all of the road course stuff is contained within the oval, as Alex McKellar has a bit of an issue there. So it's not super, super dark. It's just well lit on the oval and the banked sections, and on the infield, not quite so good.
Here's Dean Williams. We saw he had an issue in race 1, particularly the issue being contact, sending him wide at the last chicane and costing him some, I think, crucial nuts and bolts, which meant his rear wing fell slightly off its normal position. Good thing about race 2, your race 1 doesn't have any effect on it because we have a whole new qualifying session to set the grid. Also makes it a little bit harder to be consistent because you can very easily screw up in qualifying, especially at a track like this where it's super easy to pick up an off track or spin or clench the wall, all of which will invalidate a lap time.
Yeah, example here out of the last chicane, there's sort of 4 places around this circuit at a minimum where if you're taking the fastest line, your track out point is a concrete barrier. Here at turn 1, another great example, coming back out onto the oval after this infield bit. If you're carrying the maximum amount of speed, which you've got to do in qualifying with a 30-car grid if you want to be competitive, you are taking it all the way out to the wall in a handful of places. It's a roval, it's a purpose-built facility, but it's like racing a street circuit in quite a few places here.
Yeah, it is. That little complex after Tubbs-Hartburn turn, I think, is the most notable place, isn't it? Concrete other side. We already saw it catch one driver out earlier on. as Williams comes up onto the oval. It doesn't use all of the racetrack there. You can get away with that and keep up your speed, but you've got to be really strong and really early on the throttle to make that happen. And then he needs to be fully committed into this back straight chicane. Get the power down about now. Track it out. Keep the car as straight as you can.
Yeah,
And
another
then
place we
use the
see
banking.
how close he had to get to the wall there just to open up that corner that they've made a bit tighter.
Might be one of our first drivers to put a lap time down here. Nope, Robert Cook, 33.0. First time on the board, immediately eclipsed by Christopher Williams. Nathan Verney crosses the line. He goes third. Aaron Dillon fourth. Matthew Mites eclipses him. And Dean Williams goes to sixth, ahead of Aaron Dillon. Times coming in thick and fast now.
They get 3 laps in this qualifying session, and we know that the tyres warm up. They get a bit grippier, at least through the first couple of laps. So realistically, the second and the third lap is where we expect to see the best lap times set. You do expect to see the times continue to tumble as the drivers put in more laps throughout this session. And of course, that also plays into the strategy we're going to see in race 2, where they've got to make a compulsory stop for at least 2 tyres. Cold tyres are not particularly grippy, but they do get up to temperature in a couple of laps. But they are, still cost you a couple seconds maybe when they're cold.
24-degree track temp. I'm a little bit curious how that's calculated, whether it's, a specific point on the circuit or if it takes the average of the entire circuit, because, the sorts of lights that they use to illuminate this speedway generate quite a bit of heat. And I would suggest maybe that they heat up the track just a fraction, and the oval compared to the infield might be a degree or two hotter.
It's hot in the spotlight, you know that.
Of course.
I know if you rent Daytona, it costs extra to have the lights turned on because of the kind of
what?
If you rent
rent Daytona,
yeah, it's
how
not
much does that set your bag?
money. I don't know. Ask the Champ Car board. But yeah, again, it costs extra to turn the lights on because of the kind of bulbs they use, because of how much power they use. It's hundreds to sometimes thousands of dollars an hour to turn on lights for a facility this large. So they're using power, and it's going somewhere.
It's going to their head. That's where it's going. Charging people to use their track. No one uses your track. There's no point having a track, so why charge them to use the track?
That's how it works, man. If you want the circuit, you got to pay for it. iRacing members are very well aware of that.
Oh yes, you're not wrong. Yep. I think this track was actually free, coincidentally, when it came out.
This is base content, yes.
Yeah. And all the updates that came with it were free as well, which is fantastic. Even the remodel to that back straight chicane, which came pretty quickly. The remodeled NASCAR road course at Daytona was free as well, but the particular Daytona scan isn't. Kevin Henderson, what can he do? Hasn't got a time on the board yet, but with that lap time, he does, and it puts him 19th. 3 minutes to go in the session. Still no time from Philip Howe, nor from Braden Mackay. First sector, 30.5. I'll be honest, I've got no idea how that stacks up. It's 2 seconds off, according to Jay, which would put him about 15th or 16th, actually, if he stays even to the second sector. Let's see how this one stacks up for Braden. The 2:35 crosses the line, and the lap doesn't count. Well, that's a shame.
Journey into the dark after turn 1 there. And then into the light goes Philip Howe, who also does not have a valid time yet. He's running out of time in the session to put in a clean one. He's got this lap and then probably one more time left in the session, seeing as we're doing about 91, 92 second laps. If he can get to the start-finish line in the next 40 seconds.
I almost miss the flat-out pray for your life chicane at Charlotte.
The snake pit.
Yeah.
It's looking a little bit off for Howe here as well. He's already...
That's very slow into the chicane.
That's 4 or 5 seconds off, but he's going to get to the line just in time to be able to do one more if this is... nope, well, he's parking
He's
that.
used up his allocation. He's done 3 laps. 37.9 puts him just ahead of Connor Brown. 2 drivers haven't set a time. That's Isaac Summers and Braden Mackay. Braden won't be setting one. He's in pit lane. Isaac Summers is also in pit lane. John Schultz, he's 6th. He was on pole in race 1. Final lap, 31.8. Goes to the front row, but it's 2nd place for him. 4 tenths off Christopher Williams, or 3 and a bit tenths. Williams, really strong here in this qualifying session.
Last lap for Julian Mookie here. He's currently in 16th. We've seen him around and about the top 10 this season. Question is still, does he have time to finish this one? He just might. He used 2 of his laps. This is his 3rd. He comes into the back straight chicane, bouncing it over the turtles.
Just seen as well, Russell Clark is currently 9th. He's noted that he actually picked up a 1x on a lap, which would have put him 3rd. So there's a few drivers that are probably in a similar boat. Dance only set 1 time, and he's 6th. He was 30th before he set that lap. So a lot of drivers struggling here in the 2nd session, and he will make it to the line, David.
Yeah, he will. He'll improve.
10th place. Just behind Russell Clark.
It's certainly not getting any brighter in the infield as we carry on, but that's qualifying done.
It is. He's just starting grid. Christopher Williams on the pole. John Schultz alongside him. Matt Marsh, Alex McKellar starting 3rd and 4th. That's a stellar effort from McKellar. Angus Cook and Cameron Dance starting 5th and 6th. Fredo Martin and Matthew Mites are on row 4. Russell Clark, Julian Mookie in 9th and 10th.
Over the page in 11th position is Robert Cook. He's going to be alongside Nathan Verney. Dean Williams in 13th. Sean Doyle in 14th. Cade Donnelly in 15th. Matty Jones going to start in 16th place. Russell Marsh in 17th. Justin Howe in 18th. Dennis Hancock in 19th. And Aaron Dillon is 20th place on the grid.
21st goes to Kevin Henderson, Peter Wilkinson alongside him, Gary Wellman, Vic Bent-Velsen, Ara Felberg, Jack Patterson, Jeremy Bush, Leon Williams, David Summers, Philip Howe, Connor Brown, Braden Mackay, and Isaac Summers make up the rest of your field. I'm trying to find that one grid spot that gives them a pretty handy advantage over the guy immediately behind them.
I think it's 11th from where I'm counting here. Looks like about 11th place.
No, I think it's... Yeah. I tell you, actually, no one's gridded up in that awkward spot. I think that in the last race, there was someone behind even where Verney is, but there isn't today. Sean Doyle, who's 14th, starts a long way behind him, I might add. And he's 14th. Dean Williams, 13th. He's on the inside. Nathan Verney's 12th. Still a pretty big advantage, though. That's
sort of the perspective of the camera when you're the last car that is facing directly to the start-finish line and everyone else is around the bend.
It's a huge advantage. Can't be understated. Starting in a straight line as opposed to having to turn. Definitely in a straight line are our leaders. Grabs their eyes in. Let's get this one racing. Race 2 from the Charlotte Oval. Let's go. Green flag in the air. And we are underway. No one bogs it down or stalls this time. Clean away into Heartburn turn. We get through.
Certainly do. It looks all level inside the top 10. Everyone taking this longer race with a tiny bit more caution, knowing they've got a pit stop in front of them as well. And when are they going to take that one? Oh, okay, Donnelly hard into the fence.
My goodness. That is a monster. What? Yeah, that car had a mind of its own up on the roll hoop.
Loaded roll
And
hoop.
2 more cars spin. As a result, that was Philip Howe and Jeremy Bush. What a shame for those two. Cameron Dance has picked up a spot on lap 1 as well, going by Angus Cook. Here's the replay. How did Cade Donnelly end up getting fired under the fence like that? A late dive. That'll do it. That was Justin Howe, who indirectly resulted in Philip Howe crashing as well.
Got 2 Howes, 2 Cooks, 2 Marshes.
Cooks is spelled slightly differently.
Yep. So plenty out there, but the lead here, Williams, Schultz, and here's Alex McKellar monstering in third. Take a look at that right up in your face.
They were 2x2 coming out of the chicane. Now they're thinking about 3 wide. Matt Marsh going to dive straight to pit road. He'll be followed by a couple of drivers as Cameron Dance, blisteringly quick into that last chicane, just absolutely outgunned Alex McKellar by a country mile. He goes from 6th to 3rd on lap 1, aided by that pit stop as well from Matt Marsh. Pit exit on this track as well can be a little bit troublesome as it fires out towards pretty much the racing line. And it's a sharp 90-degree corner as well as soon as that pit limiter gets released.
Pit exit is its own challenge, its own concrete canyon that then feeds you to the outside of about turn 3 there. So we'll see how that goes as our leaders are going to feed out behind everyone and into the traffic. Here they go.
They take that 90-degree left. These guys are being clean air for now. They'll have a few laps to themselves if no one else pits until they catch the back of the pack, which will come quite quickly thanks to the natural field spread you get in any motorsport event. As Angus Cook is having a look at Alex McKellar here for 4th place, the top 3 up the road, single file. McKellar is able to fend him off. Just moves across in front of him and takes the line away. Braden Martin's made a mistake on this lap. He's fallen behind Russell Clark. Here's Sean Doyle in 9th. There's Martin. He's coming to pit road as well.
We better be, because that'd be cutting the course if he wasn't heading for pit road. Indeed, he is. Slowed it down quite gingerly for the pit lane speed limit. And of course, as some people have learned in this series, there's no limiter on these cars. You've got to do it yourself looking at the gauges.
Christopher Williams pitted as well, as you briefly saw too. Sean Doyle and his compatriot in Dean Williams also pitting. So quite a few taking to the lane early on in this event. That leaves John Schultz and Cameron Dance to lead this one. And then that little gap back to the next train of McKellar, Angus Cook, and Russell Clark. Almost can't see where they're going. Track is just about lit up enough thanks to the lights up on the oval. Oh, there's that pit exit I was talking about, firing onto the racing line. Matty Jones appearing from nowhere across the front end of Dean Williams as he came out. Here's your leaders.
In a 3-car scrap here, McKellar, Cook, and Clark. McKellar had him covered on the way in there, but setting up another good exit is Angus Cook. Any relation to Tim Cook? Because he's rocking the Apple livery there.
Touching that.
Yeah, because you'd void the warranty. But he has a good move down the inside there, but he's going to get crossed back potentially by Alex McKellar. No, he's not. So Angus Cook grabs 3rd position, spirited dive into the final chicane.
I wonder if he can get up there and drive towards Dance and Schultz now, because he lost a bit of time behind McKellar. 2 seconds, the gap to Dance, who's all over the back of John Schultz. Russell Clark pitted on that lap, which I think over half of, what our top 10 should be, have pitted now. By should be, I mean how they started the race. Russell
imagine
Clark's
the
pit exit's going to be pretty
conditions.
tight compared to Williams. There's a car. That's not Williams. That's Mackay that he's rejoined just ahead of. Now,
And then Williams and Matt Marsh behind that. So we see
Yeah.
Marsh through into the top 3 in race 1. See what he can plan here.
so this has been fantastic for Russell Clark. He's got out ahead of the pole sitter. Remember, I noted in qualifying that he'd had an issue where his P3 lap had unfortunately meant he'd only start 9th because it had an invalidation to it. Gary Wellman, as you saw, has found trouble again. Not quite as spectacular as last time where he was on his lid or roll hoop, but he has crashed heavily. And this is coming onto the oval. Hits the fence there. That breaks something. And in it goes.
What I'm talking about, one of those places where if you're taking the fastest racing line, it brings you right up against the barrier. And so the tiniest of errors puts him into the wall. We've got more drivers on pit road, including Cam Dance from 2nd place.
Now, let's see where Russell Clark comes out on the track compared to Cameron Dance, because he's got Williams. Oh, he almost got cleaned up by the spinning car there. Williams continuing to be held up by this car that hasn't pitted, which is Matt Marsh. Angus Cook, he has pitted, sorry. Angus Cook comes out alongside Williams, side by side. They run, just takes it away from him. Cameron Dent is well clear. This is playing out eerily similar to race 2 last week.
Yeah, Dance is still going to have the colder tyres than Clark and Marsh behind for the moment. But
So
he
far
has,
out, though.
4 or 5 seconds there, and that is not an easy amount of time to close back down here, especially you see how they're going here. So yeah, certainly been an interesting one as you see Russell Clark stay high, let Matt Marsh through.
I think the big loser out of all this so far looks to be Christopher Williams. The big winner looks to be Russell Clark / Cameron Dance. John Schultz still to pit and play his hand as well, don't forget. If memory serves me well, he pitted late at Watkins as well, didn't he? I'm going to say
remember.
yes and just go with it. Robert Cook pits from 3rd. Matt Marsh now leads this train for provisionally 3rd on back, I'm going to say. I reckon Schultz might come out ahead of them as well. Remember, he was following Cameron Dance quite closely before he pitted. He's going to come out quite far behind these guys, Robert Cook.
See it on your timing screen there.
Yeah.
Cameron Dance in 3rd has pitted, and then it's 6 seconds back to Matt Marsh in 4th. So again, he's just timed the pit stop perfectly. Had the good in lap, had the good out lap to break clear of the battles and the pack. And this is the battle in the pack here as Cook slides down the inside of Williams. Russell Clark's towing them along, and Matt Marsh is trying to break free. He has had really good pace around here.
Russell Clark had just made the move on Angus Cook, who did a good job to not lose out 2 spots, with Williams trying to get by as well. Clark then lets them both go on the oval, curiously. And Matt Marsh has broken away from these guys. I wonder if he's got the pace to run down our net race leader. It's Williams looking to come back at Angus Cook now. Into the final chicane, inside line on the brakes. Can he pull it up? Looks a little bit hairy for a moment, but he does pull it up nicely. Throws it over the curb, and Cook will get the crossover and the run out of the corner. And into turn 1, he takes it back away. And there's another crossover. This time it's Williams with the run. Finally completes the move.
Yeah, interesting couple of corners for those guys there, just showing that when you don't have a lot of horsepower, your apex speed at the later part of the corner and how much speed you can carry out is very, very important.
Last lap, half a second quicker. Matt Marsh over Cameron Dance. So he is trying. And he is running him down at the moment as Dance gets held up by David Summers. He had to get out of the throttle. Now he's on the outside of the racetrack. That's all going to slow him down. Finally, he's able to clear him, but running anywhere other than the very inside slows you up massively. It is on in the mid-pack as well. Matty Jones, Dean Williams, Matthew Mites, Braden Martin, all going at it here for what is, at the moment, 10th place.
And they're using that slipstream massively here. Dean Williams going to try to go around the outside of Matty Jones. So side by side to the back straight chicane. Williams has got the nose in front, and Matty Jones, I think...
Oh, he gets a hit. And around he goes. Matthew Mites just into the back of him, and they come together on the exit. Squeezed Braden Martin into the fence. And that meant Martin's car turned Mites' around across his front end. He had nowhere to go.
So we'll take a look at all of that from a bit further back. Here they were side by side. We were riding on board with Jones at this point. Here is what happens to him. Mites gives him just a little tap, checks up, and then Martin's going to try to come around the outside here. And Mites closes that one off as well.
Remember, I said the gap had come down by half a second. Well, last lap, Matt Marsh was 6/10 quicker than Cameron Dance. Remember, we highlighted the issues coming onto the oval for him as well. That might be where a lot of that time went. Gap's down to 5.3. Feel like it should have come down more than that.
More dramas for Braden Martin, not having a good one here, dropping back positions, and can't see a whole lot of damage on the car, but you keep putting knocks on it, something is going to break.
Yeah. What happened this time was it by himself into the grass. Yeah, you're right.
The only place you can find grass in this whole racetrack.
Well, there's a will, there's a way.
But in his defense, it's a bit dark there. It's hard to tell what is the racetrack and what is the grass.
Looking at the lap times with John Schultz up at the front, I'm not seeing any way that he can rejoin near Cameron Dance or even Matt Marsh. As that lap for Dance was a 31.5. He opens it up by a 10th now over Matt Marsh. McKellar, a 31.9, but Schultz, a 33.3.
I think that's just a mistake somewhere from Schultz because he had some very competitive times. He still got the fastest lap of the race. So I think he's still a good bet for in the top 5.
Inconsistent. I'm looking at his last, 33.3. Before that, 31.4, but then a 32.4, 31.9, 32.2.
I think I've got bingo. Yeah, so he's come out of the gate very well, but now it is starting to fall apart a little bit for John Schultz as Alex McKellar is catching him, Cam Dance is catching him, and he's just got to hope that those guys battling in the pack 5th, 6th, and 7th hold each other up so that he can get a quick stop and get out in front of them.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much where he's probably going to feed out into this field. As we take a look at him, there's chicane staying out again, so is Alex McKellar. Again, Cameron Dance, the pit stop phase has just worked out beautifully for him, and he's been able to open up a gap that wasn't seen in the first race. 5 seconds the margin, so it's come back down, 4.9. So it's come down by quite a bit on this lap, because it had opened up by a 10th, which means it was about 5.4 last time they crossed the line.
I think Matt Marsh has been eating his carrots. He's just, quick through the dark infield.
Well, never mind. 31.46 for Dance, 31.44 for Marsh. Not much between them at all. Russell Clark, fastest lap of the race.
St. John Schultz is going to hope that 5th, 6th, and 7th hold each other up, but that's not happening if Russell Clark in the middle of that grabs the fastest lap of the race and by a couple of tenths.
Indeed, takes it away from John Schultz. Good effort from him. He's running behind Christopher Williams on the racetrack and ahead of Angus Cook, meeting the sandwich, fastest of them all. These guys are just they're racing each other in terms of lap times right now. And no one's actually close enough to make a move at the moment because they're all pushing so hard. Oh, no, that's disastrous for Dance. Philip Howe, he caught him right into the bus stop. And Dance had to jack on the brakes a lot more than he would have wanted to. That will give time to Matt Marsh. It's the little things. When you're leading the race, you got to pave the way. Often the leader has the hardest time with lap traffic.
Got no
Dance
headlights
proves
to
it there.
flash. No headlights to illuminate the track in the infield either, actually. So that's one thing sports cars have over the Skip Barber, but the Skip Barber has provided fantastically close racing in this championship.
Half a second. That was the gap that time. Half a second quicker for Matt Marsh. Even quicker still was actually Christopher Williams, Russell Clark, and Angus Cook. Slowest to fastest. Cameron Dance, Matt Marsh, Williams, Clark, and Angus Cook. How about that? Oh, steady on. Don't do that too often. 2 places on the track where you can find the grass then.
Or if you go really deep into the final chicane, but it's
That's fake.
concrete barrier, it's
That's
paved.
not grass. Across the Chival. That is... I don't think it's painted, but it's incredibly flat. I think it's artificial something. But it's definitely not grass, I can tell you that much. Here we
Top
go.
2 on the lane, Schultz and McKellar. Now everyone's pitted except Peter Wilkinson down in 15th. So where are these guys going to come out? Is Dance going to get the lead? And is Schultz and
Sure.
McKellar going to come out in the top 5? Big questions.
Dance is on the outside through the ovals. Through the oval section. He's got a wall of lap traffic. He just got by Connor Brown. He's got 2 more right in front of him. Again, this is gifting time to Matt Marsh. Lap time that time for Cameron Dance, 32.3, even slower than the previous lap. Through turn 1, slightly compromised. Where's Matt Marsh? 31.5. And John Schultz going to come out ahead of Matt Marsh. McKellar comes out right behind him. Look at the traffic that Schultz has come out in. Has to get by Connor Brown. Leon Williams immediately in front of him. Cameron Dance has got through these guys pretty well. Williams gets well out of the way. Stays out of the way for Marsh and McKellar as well. Through the darkness, just about making out who's who. Which reminds me of Phillip Island a bit.
Yeah, there we go. So Dance with a 3-second lead now. And his tyres are warm. Schultz in second. Has got those cold tyres. He's trying to hold off the charging Matt Marsh.
He's going to have the draft. Now that he's got someone to work with. Oh, no. That was just a bit of... Actually, I don't know. I think that was a misjudgment from Matt, potentially. It was scary. But Jeremy Bush kept his car against the fence, or at least as much as I saw. Did you see more than I did, David?
I mean, I'm not sure, but I guess we can always take a second look. And it just depends, he was on the racing line and he braked early compared to the leaders who he knew was behind him and then kind of missed the corner. So
I think he was trying to let them go, but might have done it the wrong way. He's held his line. Yeah. I think yeah. A case of just incredibly hard to judge. But Matt Marsh there didn't necessarily do anything wrong. So Dance's last lap was a 31.69, so he found some pace once again. Matt Marsh, 33.9, was held up. But remember, John Schultz is now the chasing car. McKellar has got ahead of Matt Marsh.
Marsh has had heaps of pace in the clear air, but then when he comes to, trying to judge these battles, I don't think he's done quite as well. He was really, really flattered by having a handful of laps early in the race when he was going along a couple seconds behind Cameron Dance, where there was not a lot of traffic and he was consistent and he was quick. But then it's just not quite there through the traffic, which is absolutely important in these pit stop races.
Yeah.
Just hasn't quite had the rub of the green, I guess.
But you never know what may happen. First lap for John Schultz at racing speed is a 33.0. That's not quick enough. 31.6 for Cameron Dance. Russell Clark is the fastest car at the track still, but he's 8.6 seconds away from the lead. Running in 6th place, right on the back of Christopher Williams.
He is trying to open up the entry through the infield here. And then the sort of best bits of elevation change on the track here. Up a little bit across the crest, and then it dips down before coming back up for the next left-hander. Blind as you come over that crest of where the concrete wall is on the outside. That's caught some out if you're not on the perfect line. Clark tidier than Williams in front, but no way around there until you come onto the banking.
Gap is 5 seconds now, so it's gone back out in favour of Dance. Pit stops. The last phase of it has really worked out well for him. Schultz about to come under a lot of pressure from Matt Marsh, isn't he?
Yeah, Marsh has gotten around Alex McKellar, and now he's coming at John Schultz as well. It's tempting to back Matt Marsh in this one. I think he's got the second fastest lap of the race at the moment. He's definitely been more consistent than the yo-yoing times from Schultz and McKellar behind.
Angus Cook, first lap in the 30s, and he's well in it, 30.7. 30.7 from Matt Marsh as well. Once again, they're fast, but somehow they've ended up so far away from Cameron Dance. Looking for 3 wins in a row to claw his way back into championship contention. It's like a cockroach. You keep it hitting it, and you hit it, and you hit it, but it will just never die. And it keeps on coming.
The nuclear fallout as well. So Marsh is right at John Schultz. Schultz is down on the inside line, giving Marsh nowhere really to go. He's going to try to put the pressure on around the outside, but that is a very low percentage move with a couple of laps to go. So Marsh is going to have to try something else. Williams has gotten ahead of McKellar behind as well as they all check up in this battle.
I've been amazed by how well, that's awkward. How much these guys have been using their curbs through the chicanes, and they've gotten away with it tonight. Certainly a lot more than I expected. McKellar, if he looks in his mirror now, he won't know where to look. Big dive behind these two from Angus Cook to get by Russell Clark, and he loses out to Christopher Williams as well. Last lap, white flag, battle for second, battle for fourth. No battle for the lead. Cameron Dance, 5.4 clear.
Yeah, here we go, Purple Bullet. Matt Marsh still trying to set up the run on John Schultz, who's been quite a level head. He's been difficult, I think, to get past, and his mistakes have been less than costly.
He's got one more opportunity, maybe two. Exit out of here is crucial. He gets the run. He's going to have to go the long way around here, and I wonder whether John Schultz is going to lift or not. They almost touch. Trying to get as much draft as you could possibly get before he pulled out. Now they're side by side. What does Schultz do? He doesn't lift. In fact, I think Marsh might have lifted. They're still side by side. They touch. And Marsh flies over the curb. And that's his opportunity gone. He'll have to settle for third. John Schultz will take second. I wonder if McKellar's got enough of a run to get to Marsh for third place, actually. But out front, Cameron Dance. Back to back, 3 in a row. Race win. Cameron Dance gets it done at Charlotte.
The fireworks go off for him as well, and Marsh just holds on to that third place from the late charging McKellar, and then Cook, Clark, and Williams all stream through as well for your top 7. Couple more battles as well out there. Oh yeah, there's the fireworks.
Surely that's the fence. I thought for sure Henderson and Hancock were in the fence then, as they dipped out of view for a moment. Henderson's got a bit of damage to the front end. That might hurt his top end speed. Is it enough for Hancock to get close enough? Getting closer and closer. Henderson moves it over just a car's width into the chicane. He should be safe now. If he keeps it straight, he does. Henderson will hold off that battle for P13. Anyone else? They all cross the line, single file from here on out, I think. No more last lap incidents.
Yeah, it looks like RF Elberg and Vic Bentveltsen, the last 2 cars on our lead lap after that one. Fireworks are done. I hope Cam Dance found a good spot to enjoy them because they were in his honour after race 2 here.
Would you believe it? Let's take a look at our race results from the second race here at the Charlotte Roval for round 3 of the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. 5.7 seconds, the winning margin this time for Cameron Dance over John Schultz in second, Matt Marsh in third, Alex McKellar and Angus Cook coming home 4th and 5th, Russell Clark, Christopher Williams, Robert Cook, Julian Mookie, Dean Williams rounding out your top 10.
Yep, sorry. Across the page, Matty Jones in 11th, Nathan Verney just half a second behind him in 12th. Kevin Henderson, Dennis Hancock, we saw that one, under half a second in that one for 13th and 4th. Russell Marsh finishes 15th, Sean Doyle in 16th. Like we said, Ira Felberg and Vic Bentveltsen, last 2 cars on the lead lap in the pit stop race. Peter Wilkinson 1 lap down, Connor Brown in 20th, also 1 lap down.
We got Williams, Braden Martin, Matthew Mites, Braden Mackay, Philip Howe, Isaac Summers, Jeremy Bush, David Summers, Kate Donnelly, Aaron Dillon in 30th. Rounding out the field, Justin Howe, Gary Wellman, Jack Patterson, the last of our drivers. Top 3 in both races. Dance, Schultz, and Marsh in that order, those 3. Definitely showing their consistency tonight. Angus Cook came home 5th in both races. Williams 4th and 7th. Robert Cook 6th and 8th. Some very good drives across both races tonight. Let's have a chat then to Matt Marsh, who walks away with 2 third place finishes. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, pretty happy with that, guys. That was I feel like I needed that after the mess that was last weekend at Watkins, so that's good.
Yeah, 2 completely different racetracks, aren't they? From the very much draft-centric Watkins Glen to the dark and car-killing Charlotte Roval. How did you adapt and get ready for tonight's race?
Oh, mate, I was back to business as usual for tonight. I was so happy to have some corners again, to be honest.
Talk about your battles throughout the night then. You had a pretty good one right to the end with, I think it was John Schultz, yeah. On the last lap. Had a look at the chicane, didn't quite work out.
Yeah, that was on my fault. I apologise to John. I'm glad that neither of us, it didn't change the positioning at all, which was good. I just thought there was a bit more space than there was. He had every right to close the door there. He was well in front of me, so.
Yeah, we're saying all night long. 2-1 does not go at that particular piece of the track, but I'm glad someone tried it at the very least. In terms of your championship picture, 2 third places. That means I've lost the championship graphic. Where is it? Jay. 96 points. 163 was your total coming into tonight. Cameron Dance is probably going to walk away from you.
Did he get the double gold tonight?
Yeah, he did. So you've closed up on a few guys. Getting closer. The top 5 are really condensing now.
Yeah, good. Okay, so I'm still up in the top 5 there. I haven't been able to get over and have a check yet, but yeah, that's the goal. Just stay up there and stay there with those guys, and yeah, anything can happen towards the end of the season. So, as we seen last season at Bathurst.
You're certainly right. Looking forward to how this one finishes up. Who do you want to thank for helping me get it done?
Thanks to you guys and Ozicar, and also thanks to the Royal Crown Hotel Dudley. Cheers, fellas.
All right, thank you for joining us. Matt Marsh walks away with a third and a third. And speaking of threes, it's 3 in a row for Cameron Dance. Back-to-back tonight. David Haynes standing by with them.
Yeah, Cam, big difference between Watkins Glen and here. A lot darker here. I mean, what was the strategy going into the pit stop race here? Because it seems like once again, 2 rounds in a row, you just managed to nail it around a circuit where I think the traffic would have been even more difficult.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I saw Matt and can't remember who the other one was, pit it early, and I kind of wondered if I should do the same. And then once I got behind John and realized how much I was getting held up with it while in the draft, it was a matter of just, okay, there's no point staying back here. And I was just watching where Matt and that came out in terms of each other, and it was reasonably close. So I knew might as well pit to try and get a better clean air, seeing as I was actually a little bit quicker than John. So managed to work in the end and pull a decent gap compared to those guys. And then eventually once John and that pitted, it was actually quite a bigger gap than I thought it might be. So yeah, actually quite surprising. And then the traffic really played an important role in the race as well, holding us up and causing all sorts of drama. But nevertheless, it is what it is.
A lot of turtles, a lot of concrete walls around here. I think every corner has its own deceptive difficulties. Were there any you were struggling with or were scaring you?
Not particularly. The only one I really found a problem was the final chicane, actually, where you'd go through at a reasonable pace and you'd actually end up damaging the front wing if you weren't careful with the landing that you had. So it was a little bit tricky to try and work out how to go through there and not actually damage that front wing and hurt the straight line a little bit. I did actually clip the inside curve at turn 1, so that didn't really help and probably damage the front wing. But nevertheless, it's one of those tracks, and it's probably actually my favorite Roval, to be fair. So I really enjoy driving around here, whether it's in a Skippy, a NASCAR, a V8, whatever. It's always really, really fun to go around here, hopping on those curbs.
And what about the lighting situation? Any feedback on that one here?
Yeah, it was a little bit difficult with the night race. Obviously, the infield isn't really particularly lit up, so it makes visual with no headlights a little bit of a challenge. And the fact that I'm using TN panels as well for my monitors makes it a little bit, well, the darkness even that much darker. So I had to kind of crank gamma up a little bit to try and see where I was going, but nevertheless managed to overcome it anyway.
Clean sweep in Charlotte. How are you going to celebrate?
Well,
They put some fireworks on for you. That was nice.
yeah, well, I packed up on the little short shoot after turn 3, 4, and had a watch, so that's pretty good. But yeah, I've got Australian Sprint Car Series next, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'll have a beer if I can afterwards.
And hopefully we'll see you in a week for the next round, Cam.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what the championship looks like in the next few rounds and where everybody's going to be sitting. It's looking actually reasonably close to the top, so going to be a bit of hard work from here on out. But I'm sure we're going to be able to get ourselves somewhere later on.
Have a dig. Who are you going to thank?
Obviously, shout out to you guys for putting on an awesome broadcast and I for putting on a good series. Everybody for the pretty good racing, and also shout out to the guys at TechSense Fitstime Motorsport and also Hyper Stimulating Kiwi Simulators.
Boom, easy. Catch you around.
Yeah, what do you guys? Cheers.
He's got that down pat, hasn't he? That sponsor Reed. And let's have a chat to our other podium getter tonight. Just the 3 of them across both races. John Schultz, second and second. Can't complain.
I can complain. I would have preferred first and first, but yeah, it's got that.
All right, then. So how do you catch Cameron Dent, who's up the road in both races?
Mate, I don't know. Just better traffic management on my part, I think. But yeah, he's quick. Just I'll have to stay with him next time.
Yeah, certainly. So talk us through the pit strategy then. You were right behind him, right with him, and then he pitted. You stayed out to go quite long. I think, I could be wrong, I'm probably wrong. You stayed out long at Watkins as well. Is it a set strategy for you to stay long and go for like an overcut sort of thing?
Yeah, I find the tires come into themselves, so you might as well give yourself quite a few laps on, the sweet spot of the tires. Where Cam came in, I also saw a little gap right in front of the one back marker in front of us. But yeah, once I passed that guy, there was all of a sudden about 4 blue bombs right there, so it didn't quite work out.
either way, second and second, it's not bad. You're not in the top 10 in the championship, remarkably. So you're not really fighting for a championship win with how the point structure works, unfortunately, in this series, but there's always next season. So does that mean it's helpful leather? Just win races, win as many as you can? Try and steal it away from Cameron?
Well, yeah, I mean, I missed the first week, unfortunately. But yeah, out here helping out the team VDR. So hopefully we can rack up enough points and get high up there in the team championship.
All right, we look forward to seeing that effort from you and that team. Who else do you want to thank for helping you get it done?
Oh, you guys again. I mean, that was some great fun out there. And yeah, just see you guys next week. Go Team Milo.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. That was John Schultz coming home in second tonight. Final thoughts on the evening, David?
Well, someone's going to need to step up, ramp up their game if they're going to stop Cam Dance, it seems, on our USA fling here in Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series Season 2. But I think the format's still working. The action is still non-stop. And again, you talk about the championship standings, still anyone's game there as well. So all of our drivers have plenty to fight for.
Indeed they do. Make sure you tune in at the same time next Thursday night at 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard for the next round of the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Go and like Ozicar and Simspeed Sports Network on social media as well, and hit subscribe to us on YouTube so that you don't miss a moment of the action. But for tonight, from myself, Ryan Jones, and David Haynes alongside me, and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.